Hello. I have been not flooding the internet with original content of how I feel about the state of the world because there are so many more qualified voices out there that belong to the demographic or the community or are folks that are directly impacted by said cause. But here we are in 2025, mirroring the deployment of Trump's federal army in 2020. My hometown of Portland, Oregon, uh, was invaded by a military deployment of a mixed array of agents, including BORTAC agents. If you're not familiar with BORTAC, they are there for They basically are counterterrorism um, brand or sector of Border Patrol. So they're used to going through tunnels and dealing with the cartel and not hippie, queer, liberal, leftist, chill ass Portlanders, right? Like, it was so egregious and so nonsensical and hyperbolic, and it's just. Anyways, while, protesters were running around in tutus and teasing cops with little piggy uh, toys, meanwhile, their reaction was to shoot rubber bullets or pepper balls or tear gas, or kettle folks and attack them with their batons, or disappear folks. That was the federal agents, not Portland Police Bureau, but you get my drift. I still harness some PTSD from that time, and I don't talk about it much because it's so it's such a microcosm of the macrocosm, right? Like what we stood for and what we fought for. My injury seems so minuscule, but I am going to talk about it right now. I developed what I call soldier PTSD. I do have complex PTSD. I have for a long time. Work things in and come ebbs and flows. But now, soldier PTSD for me was, I'll tell you about my first incident. I was leaving the precinct where we had peacefully protest, and it quickly got violent and scary, very scary. And like, so scary that like these people that were driving away in their cars, they were protesters, but they were driving away. The cops stopped them, popped out their tires, which was very, very normal. But then opened the door and threw a tear gas canister in there and then closed the doors and held them closed. Like, that kind of scary, right? And so I'm driving away. My blood pressure's coming down. I'm far enough away that I'm starting to like ground myself. I'm on my own. I still got my bulletproof vest to keep me safe from the bullets. And the white supremacists that always circled our protests, including the Proud Boys. But I'm driving away, and I have all my gear on, and all of a sudden my eyes just swell with tears, and not sad tears, like stinging tears. My nose is dripping. My eyes are swelling, literally swelling red, and I start burning and choking. I thought tear gas had gotten in my car. I pull over, I'm looking, I'm freaking out. I'm like, what? I grab my magnesium. At the time, we didn't know a better solution, but at the time, I grabbed my eye wash. I rinse out my eyes. It wasn't tear gas. That was what I call soldier PTSD, and I still deal with it to this day. That's how much traumatic shit happened. We were followed. We were stalked. We were doxxed. People's lawn, speaking of hyperbole, a lawn of one of our protesters' parents was lit on fire. A white supremacist showed up to one of our leaders' house, her grandmother's house, where her children were, and threatened her life. All while I personally witnessed a man go into our crowd with his truck, drive into the crowd, hit a motorcyclist. The motorcyclist dodged it just in time, but he still took out that motorcycle. I thought the motorcyclist was still under the truck, so I beam it towards the truck. He pulls over, pulls out a shotgun. I back off, and I felt silly. He takes off, luckily. But the motorcycle was still under the damn truck. He just couldn't drive it anymore, right? So these are the kind of events that are happening when you're in it. And it may seem like so distant, maybe, but when you're in it, this feels like every day. And in the moment when I was in the streets, it felt like civil war was approaching. We had white supremacists showing up and threatening our lives, pointing guns, bear macing people, attacking people, dropping all of the words that white supremacists would call our disenfranchised, our global majority, our folks, right? And because I did de-escalation, crisis intervention, and I did the basic first aid, I was on the front lines. Like, I was up there and in it. And it greatly affects me to this day. And the fact that they're coming back when, in 2020, we have tens of thousands of people, hundreds of people. From what I understand, they're getting maybe a couple hundred people at the ICE facility right now. That also has violated a bunch of its permits. So, why do you need to defend something that's in such violation? Sounds like you're, putting the resources in the wrong place, bud. But I just want to not only show my solidarity, but I want to speak to folks in Portland right now and say, please be safe. Be mindful of whom you trust. Remember 2020 that we did have infiltration. And if you were there, you know it. And a lot of us got divided that way. Be mindful. Be careful of whom you trust. Move like water. Strategize. Because the thing is the stakes are even higher. Much higher than they were in 2020. And you remember what we saw in those streets. You remember how close we got so many times, and at times arrived to the worst possible scenario. So, Portland, be safe, be smart, watch y'all's backs, and remember, we keep us safe.